kapok tree. You've hopefully sequenced the events on Monday, having listened to the story, retold the story orally yesterday, which means out loud to someone or to a recording. And today we're going to start writing our own version of the Great Kapok tree. So if you want to have another listen to the story, go back to that video on YouTube and have another listen to the story just to get all of it straight in your mind again. But today what we're going to concentrate on, hopefully you can see that slide now, is begin writing your version of the Great Kapok tree. So what we usually do with a piece of writing at the beginning is think about our success criteria, so the things that will make our story really successful, what makes a good story. So the first is setting the scene and establishing the main characters quickly. There's not a lot of characterization in the Great Kapok tree. You might want to add some of that in yourself if you want to add some character to the woodcutters. A variety of sentence openers. Now, we've talked about that a lot with all of your writing so far this year. Use up to 4 paragraphs, and the way we're going to do that is to choose fewer characters to allow for a shorter but more detailed version of the story. So rather than you going through a whole host of the different creatures in the rainforest, it would be a good idea to choose maybe 2 of the creatures plus the little boy and then come to your conclusion. But you need to say that a number of other animals all spoke to the woodsman, but you don't need to list them all in detail and do each conversation in detail. So what I'm going to do to start you off is I'm just going to read you a few versions from last year's Year 6 writers, just so that you get a feel of the sort of story we're looking for. Okay, this is the first one. On a warm day in the Amazon rainforest, 2 men, short and tall, came to explore. The animals were living their daily usual life, and soon the taller man left. The short man, however, stayed. He pulled an axe out of his bag and swung it round, hitting a massive tree, the Great Kapok tree. It was filled with life, plants and animals. It was the tree that stood out the most. The short man sat down and fell asleep. Slowly, a boa constrictor slithered down the tree, resting on a branch, hanging down by the sleeping man, and hissed, "Don't even think about cutting the tree down. This is a tree of miracles. My ancestors lived here years and years ago. If you cut it down, me and my prey will die," the snake said angrily. Suddenly, a toucan and macaw flew down. They both sat down on a root that was sticking out of the ground, and they squawked, "We fly over the rainforest and see what's going on. Senor, please don't cut down this tree. Hundreds live here. You can't destroy one of the most amazingly beautiful parts of the rainforest." The birds whispered. A panther crawled down the tree from his resting branch. He sat right next to the man and growled, "If you destroy this tree, you will regret it. My prey will die, and after a few weeks, I will too. Plus, this rainforest gives us lots of oxygen for you humans to breathe as well as us animals." Soon the man woke up to see all these rare animals surrounding him. He also spotted a little skinny tribes boy. The man got up and went to swing his axe at the tree again. Then he hesitated and stopped, and everything fell silent. He apologized for everything he'd done and then went home. Okay, so that's one of the examples. Here is another one, slightly different, but just as beautiful. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, 2 sweaty and angry men were hacking through vines and plants until they came across one magnificent tree. The smaller man politely whispered in the larger man's ear, "You think we should leave this one here? I mean, it must be home to hundreds of animals." The larger man's big, round face turned dark red. He violently responded, "We're trying to build a road here. I'm sure if you were driving, you wouldn't want a big tree in the middle of your path." The small man set to work while the larger man left him. It was really hot in the rainforest, so after 20 minutes of swinging his axe around, he exhaustedly fell to the floor and fell asleep. The smaller man had been in a deep sleep for a while when a giant boa constrictor coiled itself around the thick wood. It took one look at the cut in the tree and went up to the man and whispered in his ear, "Do you know what will happen to this tree if you cut it down? It will destroy hundreds of creatures' homes. My ancestors have lived here for hundreds of years and I don't want it to be destroyed." Then the mega boa constrictor went back up to its branch. When it had left, a bee buzzed towards the sleeping man and whispered in his ear, "I pollinate the rainforest. By chopping down this tree, you will destroy my home and I will no longer be able to pollinate the mighty rainforest." Then the small bee buzzed away. A while later, 4 tree porcupines came along. One of them spoke up, If you chop down this tree, you will want to chop down more, and then we will have no more oxygen to breathe." Then they scurried back to the tree. Finally came a young boy who went up to the man and said, "When you awake, please look at me and the animals with different eyes and don't chop down this tree." When the man awoke, he saw that all the animals had spoken to him, including the child. He looked up and saw the beauty of the rainforest. He got up and was ready to slice his axe at the magnificent kapok tree and realized what he was doing was wrong. He dropped the axe onto the floor and slowly trudged out of the marvelous Amazon rainforest. Okay, that's just a couple of examples. Now, what we found when we were looking at this and editing it afterwards is that the main problem people had with this story was punctuating speech. So I'm just going to put you back to my screen. I will do in tomorrow's lesson a little bit of an input on punctuating speech because it's been a while since we've done it. So what you need to remember mainly, and you can look this up if you've got your English study books, there will be a section on punctuation and speech marks and how to use them. They will call them inverted commas rather than speech marks. So when somebody speaks, this is the rule. So before the speech, there's a comma, and then you start a new line, open with inverted commas. Speech needs a capital letter at the beginning, whatever the person is saying. Punctuation, either a question mark, exclamation mark, comma, and then close with the speech marks, okay? So have a think about that. And we also had a think about synonyms for said. So instead of said, we could have growled, hissed, squawked, okay? So all of those things are important. So your task today is to begin that story. Don't worry about finishing it all in one go. You've got for the rest of the week, we're going to work on this. So we're not looking for a beautiful finished story until Friday. So if you today wrote the opening and a couple of, maybe the first paragraph, that would be fabulous. Okay, but have fun with it. And I hope you enjoy doing it. And I will see you this afternoon for science. Okay, see you later.